The Maybrook Trail is one of the newest rail trails in New York's Hudson Valley, and one of the most pleasant to ride. It passes a scenic, mostly rural area surrounded by woods, marshes, and a few small lakes. In this video, I'll share why it's become one of my favorite local trails to ride. When I first started riding in the Hudson Valley about a decade ago, one of the most popular trails was the County Trail. It started at the edge of New York City and traveled almost 50 miles to the town of Brewster on the border with Connecticut. There was also the separate Dutchess County Rail Trail that started in the town of Hopewell Junction and traveled over the walkway over the Hudson, where it continued as the Hudson Valley Rail Trail. The Maybrook Trail was the missing connection between these two trails. Now that it's complete, riders are able to cycle from New York City to Kingston, New York for over 100 miles almost entirely on rail trails. The Maybrook Trail is named after the railway line of the same name which operated here until 1974. One track remains today, while the second one was paved over, creating the rail trail which opened to the public in 2021. All of the trails mentioned here are part of the Empire State Trail system, and you'll find markers along the way. Part of what makes the Maybrook Trail special and why I like it so much is how extremely remote it is. It passes through a sparsely populated area with no food or amenities except in the towns at either end. I typically start riding in Brewster, which is the eastern end of the trail. Metro North's Harlem Line trains stop here, providing access from New York City. They allow bikes during off-peak hours and are my preferred way to get here. The Maybrook Trail itself is about 23 miles long, though I usually ride the Dutchess County Rail Trail as well, to end in Poughkeepsie, making it about 42 miles total from station to station. There are several large lakes along the trail, and I've seen people swimming in at least one of them. The sides of the trail are very green, and I've picked berries along the route a few times. I believe these are called wine berries, which is an Asian variety of raspberries that tend to ripen around July. Word of caution though, there are a lot of ticks around here. There are also lots of scenic marshes along the trail, and one of the few man-made structures is this huge prison in Stormville. There are only a handful of road crossings along the trail, though it is crossed by the Appalachian Trail, which follows a small ridgeline through this area before crossing into Connecticut. The trail's surface is paved and in great condition, being only a few years old. We did find a portion of it slightly flooded when we rode here last month though. The Maybrook is mostly flat, but there is a very slight bit of elevation over a hill towards the middle of the trail. It's a barely 1% grade for about 5 miles, which doesn't feel like much on the way up, but makes the 5-mile descent feel effortless. At the end of the trail, in Hopewell Junction, is an old train depot and the start of the next rail trail. This trail, the Dutchess County, is pretty similar to the Maybrook, but with a few more road crossings in closer proximity to civilization. The trail ends at the walkway over the Hudson in Poughkeepsie. It's a super high river crossing above the Hudson, connecting Poughkeepsie with the town of Highland on the other side. It's operated like a park and unfortunately closes at dusk. The Mid-Hudson Bridge, though, is nearby and has a pedestrian crossing as well, which stays open round the clock. On warm weekends, the bridge is full of cyclists, pedestrians, and futuristic android dudes. Poughkeepsie is also a great place to start and end the ride. It's a bigger city with lots of food options, about half a dozen breweries, and a Metro North stop to get back to New York City. The rural setting and easy access by train have made the Maybrook Trail one of my favorite day trips from New York City. Hope you get a chance to check it out if you haven't already, and I'm sure you'll agree that it's an awesome place to bike.